My whole life, I've only really felt like myself in two places. Being back here today, I finally understand why I'm so afraid to leave the Arconia.
Sometimes going back to a place you knew when you were a kid can open up old wounds, or it can provide you with clarity that can help you move forward as an adult. As we see that here with Oliver in this week's episode. Welcome back to my channel, where today we'll be discussing and breaking down episode 6 of season 5 of Only Murders in the Building, which was titled Flatbush. This episode saw the return of Loretta, whose place burnt down on accident or on purpose. We learn more about the relationship between Lorraine and Sophia, and our infamous missing finger goes missing, and a theory that I shared with you all a couple weeks ago comes back into fruition. Now, we've got some childhood trauma to get through and a tech billionaire to question as we try to solve this case and break down this episode. Full spoilers ahead. We open with a small tour of Lorraine's house as she's listening to Marie Callas and looking at pictures of her and Lester. Now during this, we have the voiceover from Loretta talking about what makes a home. Now this is cut with Sophia, who's trying to get her yoga or meditation on, also listening to Marie Callas, but as she's doing this, she's getting dried pistachios thrown at her by her mother-in-law. Now is this stereotypical behavior of mother-in-laws and their daughter-in-laws not getting along? Or is this some type of power play or her blaming Sophia for Nicky's death? Could this be some weird family tradition, or in a way this is how Sophia and her mother-in-law bond? Either way, we cut to the real drama that's igniting at Loretta's apartment. Luckily, no one's home because we see a fire already raging. Now the camera pans and we hear a shattering sound and the glass from the window breaks outwards. Now on first viewing, I totally thought someone threw something into the apartment to start this fire. But on rewatch, you can see that the fire was already going and then the glass broke. So was it the intense pressure of the fire that cracked the glass, or was someone actually setting the fire on purpose? If so, who the heck would target Loretta? Now, did you all get the same impression? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, because this feels very important to not just this episode, but maybe episodes ahead. Meanwhile, over at Oliver's, we see he's looking over the best and final offer for his apartment. Now, it's from an anonymous buyer represented by a mysterious S. Powell. The real question is, who is this anonymous buyer? And does this real estate agent S. Powell have anything to do with our season's central mystery? I say all that because in this building, everything is connected. As Oliver gets a knock on the door, it's his new wife Loretta in tears, as her place of 47 years went into flames, supposedly due to a faulty electric tea kettle. Now, to lift her spirits, Loretta wants to join the trio as they have their newly updated murder board and its new prime suspects on it, which are called the Widow's Peak, and that's the duo of Loretta and Sophia, who they can actually podcast about after the billionaire debacle. Now, we get a quick update on Charles's love life. Now, Sophia actually returned Charles' phone, but as it appears, it was just a one-night stand, or as Charles puts it, it was a hit it or quit it, time to move on. Now, back to the serious stuff, the trio needs more information on Lorraine, and more importantly, what was in the mysterious bag. Now, since Oliver knows Flatbush like the back of his hand, they tasked him with the investigation. But we all know Lorraine isn't exactly Oliver's biggest fan. So, Loretta, embodying a character she was supposed to play on TV by the name of Emily before it got cut, volunteers to join her husband. Meanwhile, Detective Williams arrives to collect the finger to identify who it belongs to at a lab, but unfortunately, the missing finger is now literally missing because someone stole it. Now, back at Charles's apartment, looking for clues for the stolen finger, you'll notice the earring he's rocking, which I found to be hilarious. Now, they spot some dirt by his refrigerator, which Charles believes he might have tracked himself, but quickly blames it on the maid for overlooking it. Now, backing up for a second. I can remember Charles mentioning a maid in previous seasons, but I don't think we've ever met this maid before. Which brings me to this question. Is this person someone we should be concerned about? Now, I mentioned in my previous breakdown if Charles's online dating would be important, and it definitely is, as he's exchanging some very flirty body part focused messages with a woman named Priscilla. More on her a little bit later. Now, Detective Williams wants the security footage to figure out who stole the finger, and the new robot might be able to help. Now, on their way, they bump into Thee in the elevator, dancing and singing to her own ridiculously catchy song. Now, I would be lying if I didn't admit that this song is legit catchy as hell, and it kind of sounds like a riff on Doja Cat's Say So. Now, V notices that they're on a case and casually mentions that when she was hanging out doing shrooms with Lady Gaga and Seth Rogen, they noticed a light coming from Charles's floor. Now, apparently, they went to his apartment and saw a light coming from underneath his door. Now, Detective Williams, sensing the undeniable tension between Mabel and V, she forces Mabel to put their differences aside and asks what V might know about the alleged break-in at Charles's place. Now, back with our newlyweds, we learn some new information about Oliver's time in Flatbush. We find out that he was a foster kid living there between the ages of 9 and 12 with his second set of foster parents named Sue and Al. As we get a brief flashback to little Oliver, teasing that we'll be getting more throughout this episode. Now, as they arrive to Lorraine's house, they notice that there's an open house happening. It's certainly not uncommon for someone to want to move on after losing a loved one, but Oliver and Loretta are convinced it's part of a grand plan after killing her husband. Now, as they enter, Loretta, or should I call her Emily, sneaks upstairs into a room marked off limits, only to be immediately met with a dagger drawn on her by Lorraine. Now, this scene marks the first time that Lorraine and Loretta are meeting. This is also Meryl Streep and Diane Yeast, two icons sharing the screen for the third time in their careers. Now, the tension is quickly broken when they discover a shared interest in Maria Callas. Lorraine tells Loretta how Lester got the dagger from her last performance at an auction for their anniversary. She recounts how much she loved Lester over the 30 years of their marriage and how much she misses the kisses he would give her every night before bed. Lorraine is selling this place because she can't bear being there without Lester, and honestly, she can't afford it either. As she's even selling the dagger, which we see Loretta ends up buying. Now, I want to briefly discuss the Marie Callas element of this episode. Now, we saw Lorraine, Loretta, and even Sophia are all fans of hers, but thematically speaking, I don't really see its importance. Now, I'm well aware of Marie Callas' career, especially after watching a few films of hers about her life, including the one last year called Maria, played by Angelina Jolie. Now, for you all that do not know, she had quite an interesting life on and off the stage, from behavioral issues, had many love affairs, and much more, but besides that, she was known as the Bible of opera. Now, more notably is her unfortunate death at the age of 53 due to a heart attack. Again, I understand her level of popularity and why these characters would be fond of her, but I can't see the deeper connection or clues to why she was such a focal point in this episode. Now, could it be foreshadowing that one of these three women, Sophia, Loretta, or Lorraine, die of a heart attack at some point this season? Let me know your thoughts about the importance of Maria in this episode in the comments below. Now, back to the episode. During the conversation between Lorraine and Loretta, we cut back to Oliver, who's having a flashback sequence in which we see some of his childhood, showing how his foster parents completely ignored his interests in theater. Now, after speaking with Lorraine, Loretta doesn't believe she killed her husband. But as she's telling Oliver this, Lorraine and Sophia exchange another bag, as Loretta now has changed her heart and they follow them. Now, as they tell the suspicious duo, they get distracted by a man asking if they want to sign a petition to stop the first casino coming to New York. Now, by speaking to this man, they unfortunately lose Lorraine and Sophia. Now, is this new casino a major plot point we should be paying attention to? Could the people behind the potential casino be our three billionaires, aka the new mob, looking to replace the Velvet Room? Or could this be something Mayor Tillman is behind as part of his new campaign? Now, speaking of distractions, Oliver spots the old theater that was around when he was a kid, and he wants to take Loretta inside. Now here we get another flashback to young Oliver finding pure joy and, more importantly, family on stage with the other kids. This wasn't just about performing, it was a safety and a stationary for little Oliver. Now this trip to the past resurfaces Oliver's thoughts on why he's so afraid to leave the building, because the stage and the Arconia are the only places he felt safe. Now, this being the point of all the little Oliver flashbacks to show us as an audience where his love of theater stemmed from, but also how it's his safe place. Now, come to think of it, maybe this has ties to Marie Callas, because from what I understand, her being on stage was when she felt the most vulnerable, she felt the most comfortable, and also the most alive. Now, Oliver tells Loretta about the offer on his place, but Loretta knows exactly what Oliver needs. Seizing the moment, she brings him on stage. They share lines from their projects they never got to do, a beautiful intimate moment that lets Oliver finally say the words he never could. Now, unfortunately, it's interrupted, though, by a standing ovation from an unexpected audience, and it's Sophia and Lorraine. We watch as they confront each other, but we also get a better understanding of what the wives are up to. Sophia explains that Nicky was running businesses out of the building, which we knew, and Lester was involved. And Sophia, well, she was simply giving Lorraine Lester's cut. Now, this confirms my long-held suspicion that these women might look suspicious, but they're not cold-blooded killers. Now, Lorraine is still under the impression that Lester slipped and fell, but Oliver tells her that he was killed as we watch this sweet lady quickly go absolutely furious in 2 seconds, questioning who possibly killed her husband. Now, Lorraine reveals that she runs the theater now, and the money that was given to her by Lester's work is what's keeping the lights on. Now, we also find out that Lester didn't just work for Nicky out of greed. He worked for Nicky for all those years to save up to buy a place for him and his wife in the Arconia, as it was supposed to be their dream home. Now, Sophia is also here to drop off some props for the play, as the wives are now off the hook, as I predicted these women didn't kill their husbands, but again, they did kind of look suspicious, and who's to say there may be some more truth to find out about them. As Lorraine gives Oliver the bird whistle Lester had on him the night he died, a clue that I would imagine will come back into play at some point. Now again, do you all feel that we got all the truth from these wives, or is there something more that they're hiding that hasn't been revealed quite yet? Meanwhile, back with Charles, Mabel, and Detective Williams, we meet the new Lester robot who gives them the footage that Thee mentioned. Now initially, they couldn't find the timestamp and Mabel calls Thee out for lying. But seconds later, there she is, as Thee was telling the truth, and Mabel definitely hurt her feelings in the process. Now back to the footage from Charles's apartment, we see that some of it is missing, as it appears that someone tampered with it, and if they could mess with Charles's apartment's footage, they could absolutely have messed with the footage from the night that Lester died. Now remember a couple weeks ago, I had floated the theory that the tech-savvy villain, aka Bash, the billionaire, might have those capabilities of messing with footage. Now Mabel goes to apologize to Thee, but instead she gets heels thrown at her. Now after throwing some shoes at each other, they both realize something. They were both just deeply depressed after losing their friend. That grief, that pain, caused all the miscommunication and beef between them for years. Another prediction comes true here, as Thea admits that she was jealous of Mabel the whole time, and her new hit song, I Wish I Was You, was actually about Mabel. As we watch they make up, and these once old friends are now officially back on track. Now, back at Oliver's, everyone's here, and they got the courtyard footage, but first, Oliver has to tell Mabel something. Now, he tells Mabel that he did accept the offer, and he will be moving, but not too far away from where they currently are. Now, it'll be interesting to see who this buyer is, and if they will be a part of this season, and if we'll have to say goodbye to Oliver leaving the building by the season's end. Now, back to the footage, they review it, and it confirms Lester wasn't alone when he died, as Charles takes notice that the dating app in which he was getting catfished on shares the same logo as the footage they're watching, and that's because it's owned by the same company. As we end this episode with Oliver and Loretta in the elevator, excited for their new adventure together, as we see a camera watching them, and it has the same logo as the dating app and on the footage, as it's revealed to be owned by Bash the billionaire, who's been messaging Charles this whole time under the name Priscilla and seems to be the prime suspect who messed with the footage. So let's just immediately jump into my suspect list after this week's episode. So it looks like at least one of the billionaires in Bash is now our main target, but the question is, why go through the trouble to take the missing finger, alter Lester's death footage, and even catfish Charles? Now, the only thing we know about Bash is that he's worth $53 billion, his friends are Camilla and Jay, or at least fake friends, and he's also been around longer than dirt, and he basically controls the internet. So right now, the only thing I can imagine is that Bash has tons of skeletons in his closet, and maybe Lester found out about something that was extremely incriminating on him, and Lester got the police involved, but we also know the police are working with some of the billionaires, so Bash found out about it, and he got Lester killed. And maybe that incriminating thing ties into the death of Nicky. Now, based on this episode, we can remove the wives from our list, but I still feel like there's more to their story, because why would you bring in such talented people to be wasted? So I still think the wives have some secrets that they haven't told us quite yet. Now, the big question is, who exactly took the finger and left dirt by Charles's refrigerator and was taken out of the footage? Right now, I'm going back to my suspect who died but was brought back by technology, and that's Lester the robot. Now, I said this a couple weeks ago, that Bash most likely created the robot as a spy to monitor the building and to see if anyone in the building, including our trio, has any dirt on him. So my working theory is Bash had Lester the robot go into Charles's place to take the finger, which is clearly the most important evidence of the season so far. Now again, who the finger belongs to, again, that seems to be the biggest question, but going back to my theory, if Lester did take the finger, that would explain the black mark that was on the floor because the new robot has a black exterior as its color. So overall, I thought this was a fun little episode, and it's always great to see Martin Short and Meryl Streep together because their chemistry is so great. And even though there's been some rumors that they were dating off screen, they claim that they're just friends, but I don't believe that. Now, it'll be interesting to see if Thee and Mabel's renewed friendship will be important for the rest of this season, and if Thee can maybe provide some resources to help the case. Also, I haven't forgot about her manager, as she said that her manager is also an assassin, so we'll keep an eye on that as well. And also, back-to-back episodes with Detective Williams is always a treat. Well, there you have it. That will conclude my breakdown of episode 6 of Only Murders in the Building, season 5. Now, before we wrap this up, I thank you all so much for making it to this point of the video. If you all are still here, do me a favor, put in the comments right now, #WishThatYouWereMe. So what do you all think? Has Bash been pulling the strings and watching our favorite trio the whole time? Is he the actual killer, or is he just a brilliant red herring? Leave your thoughts, comments, theories, deeper meanings you all took away from this episode in the comments below. Now, if you all enjoyed yourself, please remember to like this breakdown as well as hit that new YouTube feature, which is the hype button, which spreads this to new viewers. Speaking of new viewers, do me a favor, hit that share button and share this breakdown to anyone and everyone you know that loves talking about this show just as much as we do. And last but not least, please consider subscribing to the channel and sticking around for more Only Murders in the Building breakdowns and so much more. Now, if you all are listening to this via Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please share this breakdown as well as leave your comments in the comments below, and also follow the podcast and leave a review and rating as well. Alrighty, y'all, I appreciate the continued support. You can check out more of my breakdowns of this show in the description as well as the screen now. Don't forget, you all are awesome, stay safe, and I'll catch you all on next week's episode of Only Murders in the Building.